Now, it's safe to say Assassin's Creed Mirage has a pretty crazy ending to say the least, and it's also safe to say that it can be pretty confusing and overwhelming, especially if you haven't played Valhalla or aren't super familiar with the lore. So my goal in this video is to hopefully help those who are confused understand this ending as I try to explain it the best I can. I would think this goes without saying, but this is obviously a video intended for those who have finished Mirage, so if you haven't and don't want to be spoiled, then click off the video. Again, you would think most people would understand that, but just want to make sure, you never know. Alright, but getting right into it, I want to start with the scene where Basim informs Roshan of the leader of the Order's identity being Kabiha, wife to the Calife that was killed at the beginning of the game, and the woman Basim met at the Grand Auction previously. With this information, Roshan states that she will assassinate the Order leader herself, claiming that it's best that someone with more experience carries out this important assassination, but as we come to find out later, that's probably not the real reason. However, Basim practically begs Roshan to let him carry out the assassination, as he feels he should be the one to put an end to the Order after everything he has sacrificed to be a hidden one. Roshan caves and allows Basim to do the honors, while Nihal, who was spying on the two, is upset at Basim for being obedient and doing whatever the hidden ones demand of him, and wants Basim to get answers from the Order rather than just killing them. After finding Kabiha, before Basim has the chance to assassinate her, she reveals that Basim is the one she has been searching for all this time, as her son, who was there when the Calife was murdered, saw Basim was able to awaken the Izu relic at the start of the game. Kabiha tells Basim that he's something more than man, and that the truth of Basim's nature lies beneath Alamut, where the hidden ones have hidden, no pun intended, the answers Basim has been so desperately seeking throughout the game. However, before Basim can take up Kabiha on her offer, she is killed by Roshan, who no doubt followed Basim knowing there was a risk that Kabiha could tell him of the truth. She warns him that if he goes to search beneath Alamut, she'll kill him herself. A distraught Basim meets up with Nihal back in Ambar as they ride for Alamut to seek the answers Roshan strictly forbade him from searching for. However, as they arrive, Basim discovers Alamut has been invaded, and after saving the mentor Rayhan and some convincing from Basim, Rayhan allows him to find whatever knowledge lies beneath Alamut. However, before Basim can enter the Izu vault that lies beneath, he is confronted by Roshan, who would rather kill Basim than let him enter the vault. Now, there may be some confusion as to why Roshan is so dead set against Basim gaining the knowledge he seeks, and that simply comes down to Roshan's beliefs and the philosophy of the Hidden Ones. To be a Hidden One, you must abandon your past, your old identity. As Roshan states many times throughout the game, the past must be left in the past, and you must fully embrace the life of a hidden one. And Basim wanting to find answers to his past and discover that part of himself goes completely against that philosophy. It's safe to assume Roshan was aware to an extent of Basim's true nature from the beginning when he touched the Izu artifact, which is why she agreed to train him and constantly dissuaded him from seeking answers. The reason she believes in this philosophy so heavily likely has to do with her own past, which sounded none too pleasant. So the two fight, where Basim finally defeats Roshan with a similar move he tried against her at the beginning of the game during their combat training, which I thought was a cool detail. But with Roshan indisposed, Nihal shows Basim that his blood is the key to opening the vault. When Basim enters, he discovers a strange looking machine with somebody trapped inside. That person is Nihal, revealing in a pretty wild twist that Nihal was never actually a real person, but just a part of Basim that only he could see. Nihal represents the personality of Loki, hence why she constantly insisted throughout the story that Basim purely answer to and look out for himself, which for those who played AC Valhalla know that Basim is in fact the reincarnation of Loki. As we learned that in the AC universe, the Norse gods were Izu, Enkidu and were able to preserve their consciousness by uploading it to Yggdrasil and distributing it into humans centuries later. So Bazum was stuck with Loki, and Nihal represents the Loki side within Bazum, so to speak. Which means that all those times Bazum was speaking or interacting with Nihal, he was really just talking to himself. Which explains why Nihal would constantly appear and disappear at random times throughout the story. It explains why Roshan, a trained assassin, wasn't able to notice Nihal was right behind her, spying on them earlier. And it also explains why Nihal disappeared for a good while at the beginning of the game after Bazum said he never wanted to see her again, and then only reappears when Bazum feels guilty and wishes to apologize. You also realize this is why Nihal is never acknowledged or interacted with by anybody besides Bazum. A lot of their scenes make a lot more sense within this context, although I do still have one issue with this twist. We're led to believe that Bazum and Nihal are seemingly lifelong friends, so wouldn't Bazum ever question that nobody actually talks to Nihal or acknowledges her existence except him? Like, not even Derwish, who took care of Bazum and essentially served as a father figure? Maybe Bazum just never thought to question it. I mean, why would he? But at some point you'd figure he had to realize that Nihal never actually spoke to anybody but him. But after this revelation, Nihal takes Bazum through some of his memories, where he is once again confronted by the Jinni, which turns out that the Jinni represents the memories of being imprisoned and tortured as Loki. Now, we don't know for sure who was torturing Loki, but it's pretty safe to assume that it was Odin. And that Izu projection we saw from the artifact at the start of the game is a glimpse of Loki receiving said torture from his jailer, who again is more than likely Odin. And the device or machine that Nihal, or should I say Loki, was kept in is the prison. Bazum, now understanding what the Jinni is able to let go of the memories of the torture and pain, freeing himself from its hold over him. Bazum then has one final conversation with Nihal as he decides to embrace Loki as a part of himself, essentially merging the two, which is the opposite of what Eivor did in Valhalla, who chose to reject Odin instead of embracing him. And again, this choice to embrace his past is against everything Roshan stands for. This new Bazum emerges from Alamut to find some hidden ones have survived as he regroups with mentor Rayhan. Roshan chooses to leave the Brotherhood after Rayhan allowed Bazum to enter the vault, as the hidden ones no longer go by the philosophy she so deeply believed in. As she leaves, Rayhan calls her Roshan bint Lahad, which some people mistakenly think means she's in some way related to Altair or his ancestor, since his name was also Lahad, but that's not the case. Lahad simply means son or daughter to no one. Bazum tries to call Enkidu over to him, but Enkidu is able to sense that Bazum has completely changed and wants nothing to do with him. Well, either that or he just flat out doesn't recognize him. I remember the narrative director teasing before the game's release that there was a reason Bazum no longer had Enkidu in Valhalla. I just assumed it would be something lame like he gets killed off, but this is way cooler, as Enkidu can tell that Bazum is not really Bazum anymore. And as blood drips down Bazum's face, he has this almost evil-like smirk. Now, I think whether Bazum is Loki here or whether they're just simply merged is left up to interpretation. Personally, I don't think this is Bazum or purely Loki at this point. To me, it definitely feels like a mix of the two, but you can see the immediate effect that embracing Loki has already done to Bazum and what leads him down the path to how we know him in Valhalla. That even shows in the way he almost mockingly says mentor to Rayhan.
Come, Bazum. We have much to discuss.
That we do, mentor.
Bazum then vows that if any of his torturers still walk the earth, he will find them, which he obviously eventually accomplishes as he finds Eivor, who is the reincarnation of Odin, Loki's torturer and jailer, hence why he was searching for Eivor in Valhalla. All in all, it can be a very confusing and complicated ending, especially if you haven't played Valhalla and don't understand how the whole reincarnation works, but I still found it to be a really intriguing, shocking ending, and hopefully I explained it well for those of you who were confused. I think Basim is such a cool and unique protagonist for this series, and in a lot of ways, I think his story is quite tragic, because at the end here, it's evident that this isn't really Basim anymore, or not as we knew him anyways. But that's my opinion. Let me know if you found this video helpful, and how you feel about Mirage's ending. As always, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new. Special thank you to my members for supporting me, and other than that, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day, Assassins.